Hello everyone and welcome back to the Fishing with Matt channel. Today we've got a really exciting episode. I finally got myself a fish finder. Let's get into it. So the guys at SMG Europe, I got in contact with them. They are the main distributors for the Railblazer and they also do plenty of other stuff including the Garmin fish finders. So they gave me a really good deal on this one. We've got the Striker Vivid 9 SV plus the Transducer kit. So they gave me a really good deal on this, which I could not say no to. And then they also sent me out the fish finder R-Lock Mount R, which is a great little Railblazer item there, which will fit onto the side of the boat, so we'll show you fitting that. And we've also got one of these here as well. I've already opened it. That is a kayak canoe transducer arm. So Railblazer have got quite a few different transducer arm options. This is the one that I was sort of looking at because it looks a little bit more sturdier than the other ones. We may not use that, we may use the original Garmin one that screws into the bottom of the boat. But as you guys know, if you have an inflatable boat, you don't really want to be drilling into your transom. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this without potentially damaging the transom. So what we're going to be doing in this video is going to be unboxing the Garmin Striker Vivid 9 SV, which is a really awesome unit. It actually is the same size as what it is on the box here, so it is a massive screen. So it's going to be great for out on the boat. But I'm no electrician or anything like that, so hopefully we don't have to do any splicing of wires. We're going to be unboxing it, showing you what is in the actual box, and then putting it all together, and then hopefully we'll be getting out on the boat and using it. So yeah, stick along, happy days. So from watching plenty of videos about these, I really have not found a lot of great information on one, fitting them, two, what's inside the box, and three, how to use it. Now obviously I've never used something like this before, but I have found a couple of decent videos, so hopefully I'll be able to explain the side view and stuff like that. But yeah, I haven't really seen many videos actually showing the wiring process. So I'm going to be going through the instructions myself first, and then hopefully doing a bit of a tutorial on how to set this thing up. So yeah, happy days. So this is how it comes packaged. So it's a really nicely designed box. You've got a pull tab at the bottom and then lift it up, and there you go, you've got the unit in there. As I said, this is the 9SV. The 9 indicates how many inches the screen is. You can get the Striker 4 model, you can get the 5s, you can get the 7s, and I think the biggest is the 9. So yeah, we've got that there, an absolute beast of a unit. My hand doesn't even cover the entire screen, so that's really exciting. Below that, you've got a bit more packaging and a Garmin sticker, so we might stick that somewhere on the sib. I'm not too much of a fanboy for stickers on the boat. We haven't got any at the minute, but you never know, why not? Got a little bit more cardboard in there, so it's all well packaged. Now all the other videos, they sort of show this stuff, but it'll actually show you what's inside the bags, but we will get it all out and show you what's in there. We got loads of cables there. I assume that that is the transducer mount cable right there. Loads of fittings. Actually the transducer is in there as well. That's going to be in the bubble wrap. And then we have got plenty of wires in there, and we're going to try and explain what each wire does to help you guys know what you're doing if you're going to be fitting one. We've also got the main mount in here as well, and that is what's going to be connecting to the Railblazer mount. So as you can see, the fish finder screen goes in the middle here, and then there are some fitting points on the bottom, and that goes on nicely there. And then that will go on the side of the boat, which is happy days. Look at that, beastly. You also in the box obviously get some instructions. So you've got a Garmin is here to help. Contact your retailer if you have any questions. So that's cool. You've got some information about drilling the mount onto a swivel, and got some warning stuff. And then you've got the instructions for the Garmin 7/9. So yeah, I'm going to be reading through this manual before doing anything on this video. Going to make sure that I know everything about the installation of the unit. Yeah, let's get to reading. So in order to do this video, I have done a lot of research, and by a lot, I've probably looked at about 50 different photos of people installing transducers, and that includes on inflatable boats and on normal boats. I've also measured, sort of like you measure twice and then drill once sort of mentality. I've measured about 50 times just to make sure that I'm doing this sort of thing right. But yeah, let's go through what we actually have in the box. So you've got a kit here that is for mounting to an electric motor. We're not going to be doing that, but that could probably be used for mounting options in other aspects without having the electric motor. You've got this bag here, which has got the two knobs and some screws in there. These screws, I am not 100% actually no, these are for the mounting bracket, I'm pretty sure. That's got something to do with mounting this. Probably go into these 4 holes. And then the knobs are what go into the side here, which keeps the screen in place. So you've got that there. we have got this cable here. This is the main cable for connecting the transducer to the actual unit. So you've got 2 plugs on there, and that connects into the orange one there. We've got the transducer, which is there. So yeah, that connects into there, and that gets plugged in. That will have your clear view and your side view, I'm pretty sure, with these 2 cables there. Apologies, it is a little bit windy, but I don't think it should make any difference on the video. Right now, I've got it set up on the Railblazer mount, as that is what we're going to be using to connect to the actual boat and the transducer. And I've taped it up to mock it up so I could get ready for recording the video. We'll go over this setup, but basically what we've got is the kayak arm right here. And then from the camera boom stick, we've got an extra one of these little bits here to get that extra couple of centimeters depth in the water. Carrying on through the box, we have got this cable here, which is the main cable for your power. We've got obviously the black and red cable. There is a fuse on the red side, so that stops the unit from hopefully blowing up. And then we also have these brown and the blue wires, which I can't remember, I'll put it on the screen, but I think that is for sharing with like maybe the Navionics app and other head units. So we're not going to be using those, so I imagine we're going to fold them up and electrical take them together. But yeah, that's the power cable there. As well, we've got this little bit here, so you don't want to be losing this bit. You've got a O-ring there and a little clip. This is what connects the transducer wire to the power wire to go to the head unit. So that goes in between these 2 bits here. There's a thread on this cable, there's no thread on that one. So yeah, there's pins going together, and that I assume makes it a watertight seal, which is very good. We've also got the original Garmin mount. We'll go over the Railblazer mount in a minute, but basically that would be going onto there instead of the Railblazer mount. But yeah, as I said, we'll go over that in a minute. We've got, that's actually from the Railblazer kit, but that's the sort of thing that you'll be using to screw the transducer to the mount. We've also got a couple of extra screws, there's some small ones there. I don't know the use of them ones. You've got this little connector here, that is for allow you to drill into like a bigger boat to hide the cables. So that's a nice little addition right there, very thoughtful. These are the 2 screws I'm pretty sure that you're meant to use for the bracket here that goes into the transom. So yeah, we are not going to be using these ones, because we won't be using this mount. And then finally in the box we have these screws here. These are the ones that actually connect the transducer to the mount here. So there's obviously a mount between the transducer and the transducer arm. So yeah, you've got a couple of screws in there to connect that. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to start getting everything packed together and mate some stuff, shall we say. Get some cables connected. We also have some additions of my own. So normally for connecting the wires from the power cable to a battery, you've got stripped ends there, and they're nicely all threaded up. I think there's probably some solder on there, which is nice. There's plenty of ways for you to actually connect your fish finder to a battery. I'm going to be using a car battery for mine because I want the extra power, and I'm going to be using it for other stuff like squid fishing lights. But yeah, we've got crocodile clips, but you can use smaller clips that you slide over that, and that will slide over a motorcycle battery about that big rather than a big battery. But we're going to be using crocodile clips. We've got them. For that we also need some shrink wrap, so we got some of that as well. And any other bits we've got, I think we've got some Sikaflex, which we're going to use to seal some stuff, and then the Railblazer mount we are waiting for. So yeah, we're going to do some prep first and get everything ready to go, and then we'll get into installing it. So the first thing we've done is we've got the instructions here. We split the ring apart up here. You got to use some scissor things apparently, but I literally just broke it. Broke off pretty easily, so that's cool. And then we've got the red washer, and then we'll be able to put that inside of this bit here, and then we can put the transducer cable together. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. Trying to make this video least confusing as possible, because I've watched quite a few other ones and they've been very, very, very difficult to watch, and they haven't really given me the information I've needed. So yeah, there we go. We've got that one there with the red little bung in there. Going to make sure this is properly clipped on there as well. We are going to make sure that the clips connect. There's a hole up the top to mate these together in the right direction. So push that in like that, and then we're going to screw it in. And with that red little washer, it should hopefully make it waterproof. So there we go, we've got that bit tightened up. That's the first step out the way. The next thing that we're going to do is connect the transducer to the Garmin mount. So to do that, there are 2 dots on the transducer, or at least on the GT52 transducer. one up the top here and one there, and there are 2 holes obviously on this one. So you're going to line it up, as you can see, lined up nicely. Then you've got these screws and these little washer things there. I'm pretty sure that is to help to tighten this on really, really tight. So what we're going to do is we're going to get all of these installed. Looks to be 6 of them to install. I guess you can get a longer mounting bracket to have 7 screws, but our one's only got 5. So yeah, going to get that installed now. So I'm getting all of these tight. I've got all 5 in. Gonna tighten them down just enough. Go around, tighten the next one. I'm not going to do one really, really tight. Going to distribute the tightness around. So this is the Railblazer transducer arm out of the box. What comes with it is a screw, a bolt, a washer, and then this big rubber washer as well. So you may realise that the grooves on the Railblazer one are different to the Garmin one. They don't match up, and that is why in the Railblazer kit you have this rubber bung like that, which is really thick. So what you want to do is not drop the bolt in the boat. What you want to do is get this lined up correctly. When you get your screw to go through with a washer, metal washer on the other side, put the rubber bung on the side with the Railblazer mount, and then get your bolt and put that into the Railblazer side. You want to be making sure that you're using the right size bolt that fits inside of the Railblazer mount, and then you want to tighten that down nicely until the rubber bit is compressed and both of the grooves are joined together to make a really, really tight finish. So yeah, we're going to get that tightened down now. So that's all tightened up, and that's the final product. So as you can see, the only flex is in the actual Railblazer mount down here, but I'm going to try and sort that out later so there's not as much play. But to be fair, a bit of play might be okay and a good thing, because you don't want everything to be too rigid. Otherwise, if it gets hit by the smallest bit of debris, and obviously everything's going to shatter if it's rigid. But yeah, we've got all the screws on, we've got the mount on. Now we just need to mount the actual Railblazer port to the boat and wire it all up. So yeah, I reckon we'll do some wiring next, and then we'll get on to the fitting. Originally, I showed some really, really big crocodile clips to connect the fish finder to power, but I ended up getting some of these smaller ones. So basically, what we're doing here is we've folded over the main wire over the plastic bit of the wire, putting a bit of shrink tube over it, and then what I'm going to do is push it into the crocodile clip there. So you may use a crimping tool for this, but I just went with the YOLO version and used a pair of pliers here, as you'll be able to see. So all you got to do is squish the bit of metal into the wire, and basically that's going to create a nice tight seal right there and a good electrical connection. And then you've also got a little bit of shrink wrap there. Use a bit of heat on it to shrink it up, and that will hopefully make it a little bit more waterproof. These shrink tubes were a tiny bit too big on the wire end, so it's not going to be 100% waterproof, but I'm planning on having these inside of a waterproof casing anyway. The next thing to decide is to where to actually put the transducer and the mount that I'm going to be using. So as you can see, this is my transom. I've got a Tomatsu 15 on the back, and I've got the C-Max Deluxe wheels. Now these wheels, I've got a really, really big bracket, and that's a good thing because that's what I need for the boat. They're nice and sturdy. If you are interested in the boat setup, there is another video on the channel that will be linked in the description. But yeah, as you can see, there is only a few spots that can really house the transducer and the mount. And for these engines, and most engines in common, you're meant to be having the transducer on the right hand side of the boat, or otherwise you'll get interference from the prop. So yeah, this leaves this area here and this area up here, and then also along the bottom. So along the bottom, this is the water line. As you can see, there's a bit of a scum mark there, but I know that the water does come up to here occasionally when you're sat idle. So anywhere in this is not really great. You don't really want to be drilling holes into there. I mean, I'm sure if you do put the OEM factory mount on here and you seal it really well, that it would be okay, but I just don't really fancy doing that, to be honest. In terms of this space here, what you've got to think about is the engine. So the engine on full tilt, if I can turn it around. So the engine on full tilt, the transducer is going to be about here where my hand is, finishing about there, and you don't want that to get sucked into the propeller. So that doesn't really leave us with much choice of putting it here. So what I'm thinking is there's this little spot up here which is away from the engine, and then also hopefully with a mount and a bracket coming down here should be away from the wheels. So I'll show you what I've got planned for that. So in order to attach the transducer to the transom, what I'm going to be using is one of these, and that is a Railblazer starport. So I'll bring you in closer in a second, but basically what we've got is the base plate. We've got a bit of a gasket there, and then you've got the top bit with the star mount inside there, which is where obviously the kayak transducer arm goes. The plan is to have it up here in this corner. I have done some measuring and we are very, very, very tight with the tolerances. But if I get it right up there in the corner, I'll show you in a second, but the clearance for the wheels is absolutely perfect. So yeah, I'll show you now. So it's probably be pretty difficult to show you guys this, but we'll get it right up in that corner. It's tight above the top of the transom. There's a bit of a lip on top, and then you've obviously got the tube bit there. We're tight on there. And then if we try to lift up the wheel, if I can stay steady myself. So as you'll be able to see, there is a very, very tight tolerance, but that wheel just misses by a couple of millimeters. And I don't see that being a problem. When we're out and we're finished, and we want to get the wheels down or bring them up, all you got to do is just obviously either disconnect the entire assembly, or you can screw the Railblazer bit here, and then you can bring it up. So yeah, I reckon that is going to be our spot. And I don't want to be doing it here because it'll be too close to the engine. I don't want to be doing it here as it will be under the waterline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out on a drill bit the depth for the screw to go through all of these bits here. And I'll bring you back when we're doing it. Before starting to drill the transom, you want to be careful doing that sort of thing, because obviously it's one of the most important bits of the boat, to keeping it nice and rigid. What we're doing is we're getting the drill bits, we're putting the screw through there, and what I'm going to do is measure the drill bit like that, and then put a bit of tape over that bit, just so we make sure we're not going to go too deep. These are self-tapping screws, so we don't have to drill a massive pilot hole. I believe these are probably M6 or something like that, so 6mm. So I've got a 4mm, and I've got, I believe, a 2mm bit to go in first. So yeah, going to get these taped up, and then we are going to get to drilling. After that, I have got some sealant. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of sealant inside the actual hole on the transom. I'm going to put a bit of sealant on the thread, and then I might completely fill this area. I'm not going to completely fill it, but put a good amount of sealant around the rim here, just to make sure that no water gets underneath this, as there is sort of a recess there. But yeah, gonna get the tape done up, and I'll come back when I've done that. There are both the drill bits there. You've got a smaller one and a bigger one, and we've got a little bit of tape on there to know how deep we're going. To be fair, with this setup, we probably could get away with just doing the one hole and then letting the screw do the rest of the work. And to be fair, that might be a good idea, so I'll see how that goes. But basically, on these Railblazer starports, you've got the effectively washer in the middle there to stop it from sliding around, and you've got the back plate here. There are 4 holes on here, as you can see. For using the bolts, you want to be doing it in the bigger holes. That's obviously the bolts, not the self-tapping screws. But if you're doing the self-tapping screws, you will be doing it through the plastic, and that will obviously, well, not the plastic, through the smaller holes there, and that will give a little bit extra grip. So yeah, let's get it measured up with this plate and get to drilling. I'm just going to start off by putting it up there, getting it in the spot that I want it, and then I'm going to put the drill in and lightly go through it, just to make a small hole there. Obviously won't know the depth yet when we have that bit there, but now we do. So we can go back in there and go up to that bit, take it out, and then we've got our holes. But yeah, this is the best option, I'd say, for this boat. I don't want to be drilling it near here, as I said. I've got to keep away from the engine. So yeah, I reckon this is the best way to do it. So yeah, I'm going to drill the rest of these holes, or drill all the way through, and come back to you when we're fitting the port. Just quickly going to say that I did try, after doing those, size 2mm hole, I put that there, and to be fair, that's a little bit too tight for trying to drill that in, I reckon. So yeah, we're going to go up to the 4mm bit and drill that out, and then we'll start by putting a bit of sealant in it, get it all sealed up and put on the boat. In order to seal the holes a bit and to also seal around the starport, I have got this Striker stick saw, and it is in clear. So this stuff even sticks underwater, stuff like that. Extreme power, bonds and seals virtually everything. So this will also help keep the port on. I mean, I've got no issues with the idea of the screws coming out. But yeah, this is strong stuff. This is the sort of stuff that I was using to glue around the outside of the wheels as well. I think I used sticks like poo, but the rude word for poo. And that's all holding up nicely. So yeah, thought I'd give the Striker stuff a go. So yeah, just going to cut the nib off there, put a little bit of silicone in there, in the holes, put a little bit around the screws, thread, and let's get it stuck on. So I've got it all cut off, just going to squeeze it out. This is pretty self-explanatory, you can see it coming out. Sure, most people have probably used one of these before, but it's going to get it right into that hole, squeeze it, fill it up until it starts exploding out a little bit. There we go, that's that one. Obviously it's going to be covered up, so there's no real need to be too neat and tidy. Right, and that's both holes filled right there. Just got to put a little bit in the middle there anyway. Probably do with cutting a hole a little bit bigger, but that will do for now. Right, then we'll put that there. So we've got 2 screws to put on, and that obviously, as I said, goes through that bit of plastic there. We're going to have it so that the unlock and lock is at the top rather than at the bottom. Don't think it's going to make much of a difference, but it's probably going to be easier to operate without gravity pushing down on the transducer, making it harder. You have to lift the transducer basically if you had it on the bottom. So yeah, let's get this all lined up and get that final screw in on the go. This is the tense bit. So first of all, I'm just going to screw through this so screw threads come out. Hopefully this goes all right. Yep, that's all good, that's looking strong. We'll get the other one done up, that makes it all lined up and easier to use as well. Just make sure it's all lined up on that side. So I screwed it just so both the screw heads are just sticking out. So yeah, I'm going to put a little bit more of the sealant around there. Let's get it applied. This may not have any effect for the waterproofness, but it makes me feel a little bit better. Right, just going to line the holes up and get it screwed on. That's lined up, let's get it screwed in. And there we go, that is all fitted nice and tight on there. What we'll do next is I'll get everything packed away first, and then I'll give you the final look around. I'm going to quickly get a bit of paper towel and wipe around there. Might put a little bit more sealant just to make sure it's around the outside, but yeah, it's looking good. Happy days, we've got our little port on for our transducer. Well, for now there's only one thing to do, and that is to check our work. So I haven't actually checked it since putting it on, so this will be the first time checking it. A little bit stiff to open that, but it's all good. Let's get that in there, lock it in, and let's see what the clearance is on the wheel, if we've messed up or not. Right, there you go. Oh, look at that. I'll bring you guys closer, but it's very, very tight. But yeah, I can't be more happy than how it's turned out. And either way, with it being the Railblazer stuff, you've got plenty of adjustment all the way through. If we need to, we can get a longer arm. There is the extra long extension arm that you can get for these. And then obviously we've got this to tilt it up and down. This bit we can use to tilt the transducer up and down as well. So yeah, that's happy days. I'll show you the angle that we've got for the boats. It's a bit of a varies on each boat for where you want to put the transducer in terms of the transom. But we'll do some on the water footage sort of thing, and we'll show you what it looks like. But yeah, it's looking good. Look at that clearance. I was never scared. Look at that. There is literally millimeters for clearance there. But yeah, that's all good. Happy days. In terms of transducer positioning, I've seen an absolute metric poop ton of different variations on how people have done that, whether that's on a hard bottom boat, on a rib, or on the inflatable boat / sib. So yeah, it's a different kettle of fish, this sort of stuff. you never really know if it's going to be right or not. Obviously, I haven't tested this yet, so I don't know if it's right, but there's definitely ways for us to fix it rather than drilling holes in the bottom of the transom, which is a big no-no for me. But basically, a lot of people have it so it is below the level of the water. So like you're talking about having it along here. Some people say that's good. Some people say that's really, really bad, because if a bit of debris comes past the boat and hits it, it's almost certain that the transducer is going to get ripped off. R1, I'll get a piece of wood or something like that, but it is looking pretty good. When we're on level, that's what it looks like. So yeah, I reckon that looks pretty good, to be honest. So with the aluminium deck there, it is literally in line with the bottom of the transom. We have the option to obviously put it down a little bit or put it up a little bit. So yeah, that's probably going to be all good. The final stage is to get the fish finder mounted to the R-lock mount here. So I've already gone ahead and put the little swivel bits on here. That's pretty self-explanatory, I showed you those earlier, but that just allows for the unit to go up and down like that really nicely, so that's nice and smooth. So yeah, the original Garmin mount is like this, and in the packaging you get 4 screws, and that's for like screwing into wood or something like that. But obviously with this, we're not screwing into wood and there's holes already there. So what we're going to have to do is use bolts. So the bolts that I've got are going to be screwing through the actual plastic on this, and then they'll be going straight through that and bolting on to the other side. As you can see on the Railblazer mount, there are loads and loads of holes, so there are different types of fish finders that you can mount. For this one, we're going to be using the outer 4, and that are the only ones that will fit. So yeah, I'm going to get it out of the packaging, out of the zip tie, and then I'll show you what we're going to do. So you'll hopefully be able to see there, but if I line it up, then the points literally line up right in the bottom corner of all 4 of this bit of the mount. So yeah, we're going to have to put some bolts through that bit. As I said, we'll screw those through first and get them nicely seated in there. And then on this side, there are spaces for the bolts or the nuts to go in and screw on there, make a nice tight fit. All these bolts are supplied by me. They're not supplied in either the Railblazer or the Garmin kit. I'll put down in the description what they actually are. I'll put them on the screen right now, but I reckon they're probably M6 bolts. Yeah, I've got them slightly pushed in there, and I'm just going to use a ratcheting little tool here to screw them down and get them through the plastic. As you can see, we've got all 4 of the bolts going in nicely there. They're starting to poke out the bottom, so I'll keep on going a little bit longer. And I've also made sure that these heads are going to fit snug inside that little recess as well, which is great news. There we go, I have pushed them together. We've still got a bit of a thread sticking out on the top, and it's coming through nicely on the bottom. So all we need to do now is just tighten these down, and then we've got 4 bolts that will, 4 nuts that will go on the bottom, make that nice and tight and secure. And obviously with that being a Railblazer port, we can stick that inside the side of the boat. You've got loads of different angles that you can use with this. You've obviously got this, which rotates nicely, and then the actual screen will be able to move as well. So be able to use that to get the fish finder out of the sun, which is really, really good. Here we go then, the moment of truth. Has it all been worth it? So yeah, got our 2 electrical terminals. We have got a big old battery down here. I'm gonna have to get a smaller one. Yeah, I was planning, I was planning on using a car battery that was about this big, but that one's unfortunately died, so I've got this one at the minute. And now instead of using a car battery, I'm going to get a 10 amp like leisure battery. It's about that big. So yeah, can't have 16 kilos of lead acid battery on the boat, can we really? But yeah, we'll get this connected to the red terminal, and then that one connected to the black terminal. Should see the screen do something. Hold the on button, and we're on. There we go, we've got the Garmin fish finder on. So yeah, as you can see, we've got traditional side view, split frequency. I'm pretty sure there are other settings that you can get. Obviously this is not a touchscreen model, so yeah, there's no touchscreen capabilities, but to be fair, when you're out on the boat with the water, I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. But yeah, for this video, that is going to be it. We're going to actually do a separate video on trying to look for wrecks and stuff like that with a side view and see what we can see, using a traditional to try find some fish maybe. Won't be able to use that for mackerel now probably because it's getting too late in the season, but you never know. But yeah, that's really, really cool. Really hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you do have any questions, then do let me know. As I said, I think that's probably the best way of installing the transducer on the boat. And in terms of the terminals on the back, as I said, you've got a side view and then you've got another one. And you've got 2 plugs to plug in there, so it will be waterproof. But yeah, any questions, then do let me know. this is probably going to be the best way to put a fish finder on an inflatable boat without sort of trying to destroy your boat, as yeah, putting it down low in the waterline is just going to cause problems in the long run. But yeah, the Garmin 9SV, massive thank you to SMG Europe for giving me a massive discount on this. Really do appreciate it, and for sending out the R-Lock mount as well. As always, links will be in the description for these products. So if you are looking for the accessories that are on this boat, we've got another video about the Railblazer bait table. We've got this boomstick as well. We haven't done a video on this, but we will be using it for recording. And then obviously we've got 2 videos installing the Railblazer ports. As well, we have got the ultimate SIB setup video. So if you are thinking about getting a SIB or an inflatable boat as they're called, then do check that out as well. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much, everybody. See you.